Welcome to our program, Your MP, Your Vote, with me, Talusha Vias. Today we have with us the very charming Mary McLEOD. She's the Conservative Member of Parliament for Brentford and Isleworth in the London Borough of Hounslow in West London. It's a diverse and rich borough which has the A4 Golden Mile that runs through the constituency and is home to a number of multinationals, including BSkyB, Cable and Wireless, GlaxoSmithKline, and the flagship Audi Centre. 1 in 10 of the population works in the information and communications sector there. The 8th highest of all the constituencies in England and Wales. And in addition, the borough has a large Asian population accounting for nearly 30% of the total. Welcome to the programme, Mary, and thanks for taking the time on your heavy scheduling routine at the moment and to speak to us here at MATV.
My pleasure. It's election time, but it's a great chance to speak to everyone.
Okay. First of all, tell us how tough the fight was for the marginal seat back in 2010, because Labour considered this seat to have been fairly safe with a mixed housing and large Asian community.
Yes, it was a tough fight. Labour had about a 4,500 majority, and so I was fighting it. And we sort of fought it over a few years to try and get local people who get to know me and understand what I was about and what I was going to do for them. But you know, it was great fun and a chance to really say to the local people here in West London, you know, we do have a really strong democracy and we want you to have a choice. So therefore, it's really important that I, as a Conservative, put up a really strong campaign so that people did have a real choice. And we managed to get a 6% swing, and that's turned it around, and I won it in May 2010.
With regards to your own background, please tell us, our viewers, more about your personal history now. You're Scottish, born in London, and you went to university in Scotland?
Yeah, so I was born in London. I started off in Battersea, and then age 3 moved up to the north of Scotland with my parents, and did all my education in Scotland, and then immediately I finished university, came back to London. I think my heart was really in London, and it's been great sort of being part of this amazing capital.
So what did you study at university?
I studied, it was a joint honours degree in business and in literature, and I then, when I left university, got a job as a management consultant in what was Anderson Consulting, but it became Accenture and is known as Accenture now. So it's one of the big management consulting firms.
So what made you want to become a politician then?
Well, it was whilst I was working in Accenture, and I bumped into some friends who were getting involved in politics, and I had done nothing in politics, which is perhaps the same as lots of young people who just never get involved in political life at all. And I hadn't really been taught about politics in school. And they were going off to the House of Commons for the evening, and I went, oh, that's interesting, what are you doing? And they were meeting with ministers to discuss what was happening in the country back then. And so I went along with them, and through that I helped with the Northern Ireland peace process. And it really taught me how politics is actually about, it can really transform lives, change communities. It's often, even in that case, it's about life and death. So politics as a subject is incredibly important because it is about things we really do care about. And so that kind of got me hooked into saying, actually, what I want to do with my life is find a way to help people, you know, change this country for the better, make communities even better, transform them into, you know, and empower people into helping change their own communities. And that's when I started and applied for Parliament.
You also stood for the Scottish seats previously, namely Ross and Skye and Inverness in 1997, but then you decided to come down to London.
Yeah, what you often do in politics is you stand in a seat first where you just sort of, it's your learning
trial
seat. Yeah, a trial seat. And it's a great way to just understand how politics works, especially campaigning, which can be quite tough, and you sort of and you understand sort of how you work with the other political parties and fight your corner. So that was my
education.
Education, yes, and a training ground before I got a better seat. But I'd been brought up in that area, so it was a nice part of the country to sort of do it in. And then I applied for the seat I'm in now, Brentford and Isleworth, which is in West London, because I'd lived here. It was the first place I had bought my very first flat in London. I'd lived here in the early 90s. And
so it's home.
So yeah, so I knew the constituency, and therefore it was a great one to go for.
So why did you decide to choose the Conservative Party of all the other parties we have around us?
Well, for me, the Conservative Party is all about helping hard-working people who are aspirational, who want to achieve something in life, want something for themselves and their families, but at the same time absolutely supporting those around them. But for me, I did not believe in the whole sort of labour ethic of socialism and how people can actually be equal. What you want in life is equal opportunities for everyone, and give people that chance to make something of their lives and fulfil their potential. And I felt that was through allowing businesses to grow and develop, create jobs, and through that, yes, create wealth. But yet you do support the people who need it most in society. But as we've seen in the last few years, the best way you can support people often is helping them get into work so that they can actually create a life for themselves and their families in the next generation.
So it's not just for the rich people, Conservative Party?
And I get frustrated that is part of some of the rhetoric.
Misconception.
Because I came from a background where I had no money. And what I had were great parents who had no money, but they absolutely believed in a hard work ethic and believed in life that if you worked hard you could get on and achieve things, and if you want to have a good life then you need to earn that and do that through hard work. And so they taught me really great values, always wanted me to be my best, achieve my potential. And growing up, that always felt a bit difficult because they always felt I could always do a bit better than I was doing. But they were just gently sort of pushing. It probably was largely my mother, but gently pushing to say actually we all have an incredible amount of potential, but we've just got to find a way to use that and develop our skills so that we're constantly learning through life and making something of our lives and doing something with it.
So if you weren't a politician, what career would you have chosen?
Well, I did do 20 years in business, and I loved business because that's where sort of the growth of the jobs and people need a job for their livelihood and you're helping to create things and shape new and sort of where innovation happens. So business was a great part of my life. But one of the things I did when I went into Parliament was I joined the Royal Air Force, which was something very different, something I'd never done.
Really?
So I spent 15 days a year in uniform. And it's something that I felt that if we are going to be talking about defence in the armed forces, it's something that I should know something about.
You picked up skills there.
Yeah, and so again, helping to understand how it actually sort of operates. But my mother always wanted me to be a nurse.
Say female professions.
But I left it to my sister, who became a doctor.
Oh, there you are.
I think hopefully that was enough.
Now, British politics is a male bastion institution. So how do you find it, since women MPs are still not equally represented in Parliament, even in this modern day and age?
It is a shame that we only still have 22% women in the House of Commons, and it's about 23% in the House of Lords. So there's a lot we still need to do to encourage more women to come forward. And it's not just politics, it's lots of other sectors as well, where if you look across sort of engineering and things where girls are still coming out. Girls come out of school in the UK doing better than boys. There's more females graduating than males out of university. But we're still not getting traction in some of the women going into our what we call STEM subjects, of science, technology, engineering, and maths. So we do have to do a better job of encouraging women into those and young girls into those professions. And in politics, it's the same. It's something that I guess I was involved and I saw it first. But having come from business, if I asked my former business colleagues, would you think about a career in politics? They'd probably go, no way. It's like, because I think it is.
It's frightening.
It is, and it's like there's potentially a bad perception still in the UK about sort of politics. Where people think you're all the same, and it's just and a lot of the stories they hear in the media in the UK are negative stories about politicians, where actually you don't often hear the good things that politicians are doing, and most MPs, go into it really help transform and change and make a difference to people's lives. And those things, just the stories that people never quite hear.
Absolutely.
And so, I think as politicians, we've got a job to do to try and promote that work that we are doing and engaging with people at all ages and all backgrounds and in all communities to say, get involved and help us with our work so that they see the sort of work that we do. But that's why I set up an all-party group for women in Parliament, because I felt, we need to be the ambassadors and the role models to go out to the next generation and say, your country needs you to be part of this, because Parliament should reflect the society that we represent.
Exactly.
Look like the society we represent. And if we don't, then potentially there's something wrong. And I think that we've got, just amazing women in this country, and we need their talents, their skills, their experience in so many different sectors, including politics. That I always try and encourage women, of all backgrounds to think about it.
Ethnic minorities, Asian women, we've got a handful of Asian MPs for the first time historically in Parliament. And they seem to shy away because it's a cultural barrier. A language barrier? What are these problems that stop women from getting ahead?
I think it's a whole range of factors, and we did a bit of research on it, and I think there is definitely something which is the image of politics, which isn't great in this country, and then I think we've got to try and change that, because it's important for our democracy. It is a 24/7 job, so a lot of people feel, can I do that with family and all the other responsibilities that I have? Can I really do it? Although I think that's changed now, because actually in Parliament, it's not the long hours that you used to. You have to say that I am a workaholic, but it's not the hours that there used to be. So we vote on a Monday night at 10 o'clock, Tuesday, Wednesdays are 7 o'clock, and Thursdays is 5 o'clock. So it's not all-nighters like it used to be in the old days. So we need to again talk about how those things are changing. We now have a nursery in Parliament, so children can come in, and so we're beginning to modernise and move with the times. And there is, of course, all the media attention and intrusion, which some people just don't want to. It's
keep their lives private. Yeah.
But then often
you become a public figure.
Your family become public as part of that. So a lot of people will go, especially women, perhaps would say, I don't want to do that for them. But that's where I think we need to sometimes just get tough on the press and say, fair enough, the politician is the person that you can attack if you need to, but actually families should be kept out.
Does that bother you? If because you become a public figure, everybody wants to know everything about you?
Yeah, I think sometimes you've got to find ways where you try and keep parts of your life as private as you can. And where things are about that are involved in public in any way, then fair enough. But it's you've got to have that balance right, and I think actually the public understand that, because they have families too, and therefore they realise what's important.
With regards to your own constituency, what have you achieved since you got elected in the last 5 years?
Well,
what sort of areas have you kind of made changes to?
Well, it was a very important time. When we look back at 2010, the economy was in an absolute mess. So the first thing that I felt was really important was to look at the economy and jobs and growth in the local constituency. And I have a very diverse constituency here in West London. It goes all the way from Chiswick to Hounslow. Yeah. So I'm underneath the Heathrow flight path. Yep. And it's a good area for business because Heathrow is here. It's adds to the economy, and businesses locate here a lot of the time because Heathrow is here and with the surrounding sort of supply chain. So it's a good strong constituency in terms of jobs. But what I wanted to do was make sure that we were focusing on creating those jobs. So we ran lots of jobs fairs, an annual jobs fair that looked at jobs and apprenticeships and volunteering and work experience. So we brought together all the opportunities that were available and people who were looking for work. And that was one of our big things. I also looked at women and enterprise because I wanted to encourage women to set up their own businesses, because in the UK women are behind men in setting up businesses. And again, I felt this is a real opportunity for talented women to to take up the sort of startup challenge and do something for themselves in terms of enterprise and creating something. So we've done lots of workshops and seminars and encouraging women to do that, where they hear from inspiring other female entrepreneurs who've
absolutely
been there and done it. And so that's been an important part of it. The other bit was the sort of apprenticeships, because apprenticeships has been one way where we've really tried to increase the opportunity for them, encouraging businesses to do them and encouraging young people to take them. And we've done it over the course of the last 5 years, about 2 million. Locally in my constituency, it's been 2,400 new apprenticeships. I want to double that, and hopefully in the next 5 years. But that was something where we wanted to encourage businesses. So we ran an apprenticeship seminar for our businesses, encouraging them to do apprenticeships. So that was all around sort of jobs and growth, and that was our top priority.
So you brought the unemployment rate down.
So the unemployment figure has gone, the youth unemployment's gone down 50%, and overall unemployment's gone down 39%. So there's been a real change there. So our unemployment rate is 2.1% now. So there's a little more to do, but we've reduced that dramatically. The other big issue locally was school places. This is one of the fastest growing boroughs in London, and therefore we wanted to make sure we had enough school places for the population growth. And the initial need was in primary schools, and then moving on it'll be secondaries. So we managed to get 2 new primary schools. The Nishcam Sikh Primary School is a Sikh Anglican school. It has already started in Isleworth, and then we've got another school, the Florite School, starting in Brentford in September. So we managed to get 2 new primary schools. We've also just recently managed to secure 2 secondary schools as well.
Okay.
They will start in 2017, but that's at least they've been approved by the Department of Education. So I feel as though on those, that is one of the key local issues. We've managed at least to get real progress, and that's a major achievement, having been able to get those.
So what are the things are you hoping to get done if you do get elected that is still pending?
Yes, well, on the schools I'll push to make sure those are implemented. Continue on the jobs and growth. So apprenticeships, I want to double the number of apprenticeships we've had in the last 5 years, and just keep reducing unemployment as it has been. We also want to just keep working on crime, because crime has gone down about 16%, but we have a lot of issues in our sort of Austerley and Hounslow areas of where there's sort of lots of gold in people's houses, where it's gold jewellery, and there's been burglaries, and so we want to encourage a sort of tighter controls on crime, but also maybe we need to sort of remove some of the gold from houses and put it into banks and safe deposit boxes. So there's definitely work on crime. I've also done quite a lot of work on domestic abuse and violence,
yes, I'm
which because Chiswick in my constituency was the very first refuge in the world, and so I felt it was almost like a responsibility of mine to really promote the whole issue of domestic abuse and violence, because it's still in the UK something that's not talked about a lot. But yet they say, it's 2 women a week get killed in the UK by a partner or a former partner, and they say it affects about 1 in 4 women in their lives. It also sometimes affects men too, but a smaller amount. But it's one of these issues that's a hidden problem, and we really need to make it less hidden, and more people are reporting it now, which is good. And so we held a big domestic abuse summit in Chiswick with the Home Secretary, and after that she announced £10 million to go to refuges, and Boris Johnson, the Mayor of London, announced another £5 million to go towards refuges in London. But this is a really important topic, and it's also important for the younger generation too, because it's not...
They need to be taught it in schools, I believe?
Well, I do think it is. I did it in one of my schools. I invited William Hague, who's done a lot of work with sexual violence and conflict, invited him to come and speak to the 14 to 16-year-olds about it. And I also then talked about domestic abuse, and I talked about forced marriage, just to have that open discussion about what we feel in this country, and I really feel on those issues that these things should not be tolerated, and it's something that what people who are going through these issues need to be able to feel that they can talk to someone about it, that they can talk openly about it, and the more that we share those things, then we can do more.
it's also widespread in the Asian community, and yet they won't report it because it's cultural, it's a language barrier. So what are you doing to address such issues?
You're absolutely right on that, and it's something that affects all communities in every country. So it's something.
It's global.
It's absolutely global, and it's in poor and rich and across all sectors of society.
Yeah.
So but it probably is great also that in Asian communities they're perhaps less likely to report it for cultural reasons, and that is where I'm certainly in the schools. I go to all my schools across my constituency to talk about how important this is, because often if it's affecting parents, then the children are seeing it, and what we want to do is say to the children that they can talk about it to someone and they can raise the issues where need be. So part of this, I think you do have to start with the younger generation. I think also whenever I go and speak, and whether it's my Hindu temple, my mosque, my Gurdwara, I raise these topics as well, because the more I think that we make this crime on sort of very visible, then, and we feel it's a natural thing to talk about, then people will realise that actually what they're going through is not something that they're alone on, that there's other people that understand it and can share it, and can help them through it.
Stay tuned and see you soon after the short break.